Okay, this lecture is all about borders. It's something that's pretty common in CSS and a very important style for you to understand how to use properly because it's powerful. There are a lot of designs that use borders and it's quite simple, but there's quite a bit to it. So I want to jump in and show you how to do that right away. Create a new file in your CSS folder and just call it borders.html. And go ahead and add that basic structure and change that title to borders. And we're going to reference the style sheet.css so that we could play around with that one instead. And we're going to add a bunch of HTML here that we're going to play around with. I'm going to start off with just a level 1 heading. Whoops, not a level 21 heading. Doesn't exist. CSS borders. We want to add that as a title, and then we're going to add a bunch of divs here with an ID and a class, and we're going to use those to style to add some borders. And each of these boxes that I'm going to add here are going to have specific styles and let you know what sorts of borders they're going to have. So let's add a div and give it the ID of box1 and class. We're going to say border-box. Perfect. And then in here, I'm just going to add some text that says box with thin, solid border. And I'm going to copy that and I'm just going to paste it a handful of times. 8 to be exact. And I'm going to change each of these to their respective number. So box 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they have unique IDs. There we go. And the class can stay the same because as we know, classes can be globally used multiple times. And then we're going to change each of these, the text here with the border that we're going to create in that div. So the second one will have box with a thin dashed border. And then the next one, number 3, will have box with a thin dotted border. And then we're going to go to number 4, and that's going to be a thin double border. And then number 5 will actually be a thick, solid border. The next one will be a thick, dashed border. And then a thick, dotted border. And then the last one will be a thick, double border. Okay, now all we really need to do is go to our CSS, our stylesheet.css. And under the styles that we already added here, I'm going to add a comment and say CSS borders lecture. There we go. And I'm just going to add some styles here. We're going to select the border box. That's the class that is associated with all of the divs that we added. We're going to have a background and say FC3. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. So we have all of these boxes with that yellow-orange color background. We're going to add some margin, 0, 0, 20, and this is 0 on top and 0 on left and right, 20 on the bottom. Padding will be 40 pixels on all sides, and the width, let's go for 320. Save that, let's see what that looks like. There we go. Why don't we just make that text align center as well. There we go. And now what we're going to do is individually style each ID. So we have the box 1. Now this is where I would do something like, instead of adding just having the curly braces on separate lines with the styles in the center, I would probably do something like this, just to keep it a little bit more efficient, because we're only going to be adding one line of code here. So we might as well just keep it on one line, just to keep it simple. So this would be border, solid 1 pixel, black. And that will give us for box number 1, solid 1 pixel black. You can see it right there. And now I'm just going to copy this and paste and change the number. Box 2, this will be dashed. That's another value you can add, 1 pixel black. That looks like this. There we go. The next one, we have number 3, and that would be a dotted 1 pixel black border. There we go. Let's go for number 4. That is a double 1 pixel black. Now, the thing with a double border is that there are actually 2 lines. So in order for you to be able to see a double border, which you cannot see here, let me just move that highlight. You can only see a solid line. Well, there are 2 lines there, but the total width of the border actually has to account for a 1 pixel border, a 1 pixel space, and another 1 pixel border at the very minimum, which means you need a minimum of 3 pixels here. And that will show you a double border. Let me move that highlight. There you go. And if you were to change that to something bigger, like 10, you would see the double border even more. And that's just taking up a 10 pixel space. But let's go back to 3. Okay, we got box number 5, and that is going to be a solid 4 pixel black. So this is just a thick border. There you go. And we're going to add number 6. Number 6 is going to be a dashed 4 pixel black border. And will look like so. And then we have number 7. Number 7 will be a dotted 4 pixel black border. Make sure that's double T. There we go. And the last but not least, well, maybe least, I'd say double is the least used border. Double 6 pixels black. There we go. So there are your CSS borders.